is now dented in because of the enormous-sized hail that moved through Mineral Wells about 45 minutes to an hour ago.
Getting reports now from our National Weather Service chat session, Baron, of the sirens sounding in Fort Worth, the tornado sirens. If you're hearing those, that's not an indication that we've got a tornado confirmed. In fact, at the present time, there is not a tornado warning in effect for Tarrant County. But one of the reasons why they sound those tornado sirens as well is for an event like this, where you're going to see very large hail and damaging winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So that's why you're currently hearing those sirens, those tornado sirens going off in Fort Worth. We've got a tornado warning that continues for Parker County, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Tarrant County. That severe thunderstorm warning, though, could be upgraded to a tornado warning if we see this circulation that I'm about ready to zoom into strengthen again. Right now, it's not looking as impressive as it was just 15 or 20 minutes ago. But again, that's not a sign that you need to let your guard down in light of what we're also seeing here, some very large hail and torrential rain falling as well.
Yeah, Dan, you mentioned the sirens, and one of the lessons we learned, of course, with the last round of severe weather, which was a week ago, is that that system came, of course, in the early hours of the morning, and not some of the sirens weren't sounded in some of the North Texas towns, but of course they were saying that during the daylight hours, when people may be out, when people are driving home in their evening commute, getting home from work, that they want to alert people in these given areas where there is that potential with this sort of threat of hail and damaging straight line winds and the like coming in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Well justified to be sounding those. Aledo, 7:37, your ETA time. Lakeside, 7:38. Lake Worth, 7:43. White Settlement, 7:46. Westland, 7:46. And Sansom Park Village at 7:48. And also ditto that time here. This is going to be, this severe storm going to be arriving here in downtown Fort Worth right around 7:45 to 7:48 p.m. So batten down the hatches here right in downtown Fort Worth, and for that matter anywhere here in western Tarrant County. You folks from Azle down to Benbrook are actually going to get hit first by this very large hail and potentially some damaging winds. We're keeping our eye on this circulation here. So far, so good. Still getting reports of wall clouds here, but not of any kind of a confirmed tornado. We've also got severe weather brewing to our north, all along this squall line here, just south of Gainesville into northwestern Denton County, around the Sanger area here, stretching back into eastern Wise County. Nickel-sized hail, wind gusts to 60 miles per hour with this portion, or within this portion of the line of storms. But you can see how that hail core really picks up in intensity here, where you're starting to see all these black colors. And we've already had up to baseball-sized hail in Mineral Wells, in Weatherford, as this storm rolled through Palo Pinto County and continues to roll now through Parker County.
And again, with the hail dam. Okay, I'm just being told in my ear that we've got Ron Ford, one of our Fox 4 engineers, on the phone in eastern Parker County. Ron, can you hear us?
Yes, I got you just fine.
Ron, we're looking at your picture here as we look to these ominous clouds in the distance. What are you seeing from your vantage point?
Well, right now what I've got here is a definite leading edge of a wall cloud that's just passed over me. It's probably about a mile behind me now. The rain amounts are starting to pick up. The frequency of lightning is starting to pick up greatly. This storm is moving.
Is there any rain associated with it where you are, Ron, or any other type of precipitation, maybe even slight indications of hail at this point?
No indications of hail, just a moderate rain, and the winds are picking up somewhat. But the frequency of lightning is the most impressive thing. It's very, very frequent.
Yeah. What kind of traffic are you seeing in that area? Are you seeing people out? Have you heard the sirens sounded in this particular area?
Just south of me, and I'm not really familiar with the area just south of me, maybe Aledo area. I was hearing the sirens going about a minute and a half, 2 minutes ago before I got it back into the truck here. But I can't hear them now. Obviously, it's raining real hard.
And Ron, how fast has have the conditions changed since you've been in this area? Was there a moment when things were relatively clear, and then the dark clouds came in, and the rest of the activity that you've talked about?
Well, an over-exaggeration, but, you know, it looked pitch black as I was pulling up to this exit, which is exit 420 along I-20. And, okay, now we're getting some significant blowing and a lot heavier rain.
Just that fast, Ron, because you were just saying it was moderate. Now it's significant. You're saying in less than 2 or 3 minutes, huh?
Correct. Correct.
So significant hail. I hope you've taken cover. I'm sure you have, and are in a safe place so that in case that hail comes through there, you're going to be okay. Significant rain right now. Can you tell if it's also being aided by wind gusts by chance, or is it some straight sort of rain?
It seems to me that the winds here are fairly steady, but they're definitely blowing what I would call due east from my location, straight back toward Fort Worth behind me.
Oh.
I'm now losing visibility of all of the sky, and the visibility of my immediate area here is probably down to maybe 1 mile.
In just that short length of time. Okay, Ron. Well, listen, stay safe, keep us posted, and we'll check back in with you. That's Ron Ford, one of our Fox 4 engineers out in eastern Parker County. And Dan, he said just in a matter of minutes, he saw it go from slight to moderate to some pretty intense rain in that area.
Yeah, that is a dangerous situation. We're showing you a live picture right now from our video phone in eastern Parker County. I just read the chat session here. There may have been a brief tornado touchdown in Aledo at 7:25. That's an unconfirmed report. That was a report from a Skywarn spotter to the National Weather Service. We got word from that through our National Weather Service chat session. Could have been a brief tornado touchdown in Aledo. What you're looking at right now is the leading edge of a squall line that is currently in eastern Parker County, just a few miles from the Tarrant County border. Very large hail is going to be falling just behind. Where you're seeing those nasty lightning strikes, you can bet there's large hail falling just beyond this leading edge here that we're showing you. And also still, we are watching rotation along the leading edge of this squall line as well. The rotation itself has, at least it seems in the last 10 to 15 minutes, to kind of been broadening out a little bit, suggesting that perhaps we're not seeing the threat of a significant tornado like we did about a half an hour to 45 minutes ago. But again, one thing you're going to get for certain here in eastern Parker County and in western Tarrant County is some very large hail, some torrential rain, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, and winds that could gust in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. Let me show you here, Fox 4 and Doppler radar, if we can momentarily go from the live picture to Fox 4 and Doppler radar. This is what it's looking like now. You can see the leading edge of this squall line here in far eastern Parker County. Here's the Tarrant County line. Large hail, perhaps golf ball size or larger within this line of storms. And we may also be seeing winds gusting in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. And it's heading right toward downtown Fort Worth. And you notice down here to the south, this line of thunderstorms continues, and we've seen a severe thunderstorm warning now issued for Hood County. Barron?
Okay, Dan. You mentioned that possible tornado in Aledo. We talked to Ron Ford, our Fox 4 engineer, and I believe we've got him back on the phone now. And Ron, we saw how quickly your picture changed in that area. Now I believe you're getting some hail.
Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not.
Most definitely.
I can barely hear you.
We can also hear the hail, too. Is that what we're hearing, Ron?
Yeah, that's what you're hearing. I can't tell you what size the hail is at this point, but it looks like it's possibly up to... I can't even tell, guys. I have no visibility whatsoever.
But, Ron, and from the sound of it, can you at least confirm that the intensity is pretty severe, right?
I'm sorry, guys. I cannot hear you over the noise.
Okay, Ron Ford. Well, Dan, it sounds like what we've been hearing from other people who've talked about the hail moving through their areas, from what we could hear on Ron's phone there, is that was coming down pretty intensely.
Absolutely. In fact, we're getting indications, at least on our algorithm here on Viper 4, of over baseball-sized hail with that line of storms pretty close to where Ron Ford is reporting. In fact, there's what it looks like on Fox 4 and Doppler radar. Here's what it looks like on Viper 4. And here's the algorithm I'm talking about, a 100% chance of hail, and it could be up to 4 inches in diameter, which is actually larger than the size of baseballs, up to softball size. And if we were to see hail that large, it would be showing up where you're seeing the white colors here within the hail core along the extreme leading edge of this nasty line of storms. Let me go back to Fox 4 and Doppler radar here. And once again, let's go ahead. And again, this line of storms is moving east at roughly 30 miles per hour. We'll time it out here for you again as it continues to move at that steady clip here of about 30 miles per hour. And there are some more ETA times. Lakeside 747, Wheatland 748, Westland 748, White Settlement 751, Lake Worth 751, Benbrook 754. Really, though, what you need to assume here is that it's just a matter of time before it reaches your location. If you live here in eastern Tarrant County, yes, you're going to have a little bit more time to prepare for this. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect now for eastern Parker County and for Tarrant County. We've had no confirmations, no confirmation of a tornado, with possibly one exception, Aledo. We may have seen a brief tornado.
And Dan, let me jump in right quickly because we've got some extraordinary pictures here out of eastern Parker County. This is Brandon Todd's video phone, and he's giving us some pictures of some people who were just going into this storm shelter. Brandon, you're on the phone. Why don't you pick up the story from there?
Well, you can kind of see the door to this shelter open. We're kind of right, there you go. We flashed our lights on it. You can kind of see the door. You see how it's open there?
Right.
There was about 5 people, I think, that went into this storm shelter, and they're getting ready to ride this out. Now, we have experienced probably some wind gusts of maybe 20, 30 miles an hour. Nothing really severe at this point, but the skies over us have gotten significantly darker. And earlier I was showing you the video of that leading edge of this storm, and it was literally absolutely incredible just how large that thing was and how commanding it was. Now, at this point, we've got some rain coming down on us. No hail yet or anything like that, but the winds are picking up. I'm going to pan over very slowly here and see if you can, here in just a couple seconds, you'll probably see the flags and a light pole. You can kind of get an idea of the rain coming down and the winds that we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, we're seeing the flags now, right, Brandon?
So you can kind of see how gusty the winds are. You can see the rain and the light pole there.
And Brandon, exactly in eastern Parker County, where are you? Do you have any idea the name of the town?
Well, we are, I think we're still in Tarrant County. We're right on the edge. We're at I-30 and Link Crest.
I-30, okay.
Yeah, right by the, just north of the Link Crest Golf Course here, just on the, actually on the north side of 30 here.
Okay.
So that's about where we are. In fact, under the bridge here on this exit, there are probably 45 to 50 vehicles that stop and are taking shelter under that bridge. Now, the rains are really starting to pick up here. I don't know if you're able to tell or not.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good indication here from your picture with the rain blowing, and that light's giving us a nice shot.
All right, and I don't know if you can pick up the audio, but we're starting to get hit by hail right now.
Yeah, and I can tell you too, Brandon, from what we've been seeing, this is the recipe. It starts out with the rain, and it intensifies, the rain does, then the winds, and as you're getting now, I presume that's hail we're hearing?
Yeah, that is hail that you're hearing right there hitting us. Now, looking on the ground, it looks, well, there goes the door.
Brandon, are you guys in a safe area? You're under something safe, right?
Well, at this point, I can't hear too much
okay.
of what you're saying.
Well, Brandon, why don't you, if you can continue to give us the picture and stay safe, that'll be fine, but you guys get safe. And that's Brandon Todd again. And Dan, he says he's right at the Parker County, Tarrant County line.
He is right in the thick of it now,
In the thick of it, yes.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead now, and if we can momentarily, I want to go back to Fox 4 and Doppler radar. I know we have kind of a picture-in-picture here. On the bottom right-hand portion is Brandon Todd's video phone. We've got Sky 4 there, kind of panning along that line of severe storms, looking out to the west. It is the most intense part of the line now is located right on the Parker-Tarrant County line.
Right where Brandon is.
And right where he is. And what you're going to see there is up to golf ball sized hail, I believe, and wind gusts potentially in excess of 60 miles per hour. There's a look at Sky 4, looking at that menacing line, that squall line of thunderstorms as it's moving east now at 35 miles an hour. It's beginning to accelerate a bit. Let me go ahead and show you Fox 4 and Doppler radar now and show you where that line of storms is. It's basically located from just north of the city of Denton, back along the Wise-Denton County line, the Parker-Tarrant County line, and then it swings back to the southwest through just north of Granbury back to Stephenville. If you're watching us in Dallas, for instance, what I've done here on Viper 4 is shown you that this line of storms now is 42 miles from downtown Dallas. So moving at 35 miles an hour, in just over an hour, it will arrive in downtown Dallas at the present rate. So anywhere from 8:45 to 9 o'clock, you can expect this squall line moving right into downtown Dallas if it continues at 35 miles per hour. If it continues to accelerate, it may arrive a little sooner than that. But let's go ahead and zoom into the portion of the storm where Brandon Todd was reporting live from.
Yeah, he said he was along I-30 near Link Crest, I believe he said, on the line of Parker County and Tarrant. Can you show us on here, Dan, where that is?
Well, here's the squall line right here, Baron. That's where we're seeing the large hail denoted by these black colors here. Obviously, we can go ahead and start putting some roads on here. Here's I-20, of course, going down to the south and west. There's 377 that runs from Benbrook down to the south and west. Loop 820, obviously, right here. And then we've got State Highway 199 that runs from Lake Worth up towards the Azle area. But you folks in Lake Worth and White Settlement, Benbrook, anywhere here in West Fort Worth, you are about ready to get slammed here by this line of storms. In fact, let me go ahead and put the live sweep on, and that is a live look at what is going on at the present time. This squall line, as it moves into western Tarrant County, it's moving east at 35 miles per hour. We know one thing for sure: you're going to get large hail, you're going to get torrential rain, you're going to get a tremendous amount of cloud-to-ground lightning, and we're still watching the circulation here. There still is the potential that we could see a tornado develop, although right now there is no tornado warning in effect for Tarrant County. It is a severe thunderstorm warning. What I can tell you, too, if you live here in Parker County, is that you, for the most part, if you live north of Weatherford and west of Weatherford, are in the clear now. Those dangerous storms have passed by to your east. Let's go ahead and set the stage here. We've got a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. The northern watch goes until 10 o'clock this evening. The southern watch goes until after midnight tonight. That includes Granbury, Waxahachie, Meridian, Hillsborough, down through Hamilton County. The storms down to our south, not nearly packing the punch as the ones are up here to our north. And as we look towards Denton County, we're talking about nickel-sized hail, perhaps wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. But Tarrant County, you are really under the gun. You're in a much different situation here. This is the most intense part of the squall line. You're going to see perhaps up to golf ball-sized hail and wind gusts in excess of 60, maybe 70 miles per hour as this continues to move off in an easterly direction. Let me go ahead and once again add a storm track on here. And since this is a squall line, we have to do this a slightly different way. And let me try that one more time here. We're going to go ahead and try to time out the leading edge of this line of severe thunderstorms as it's moving east now at about 35 miles per hour. Blue Mound 753, the Stockyard 754. So that's just a couple of minutes from now. Botanic Garden 756, TCU at 757. And you notice that you folks from Southlake and Keller and Grapevine down through Hearst, Bedford, Euless, Arlington, Mansfield, down towards the Burleson area, you are all squarely in the path of this squall line here in the next half an hour as this line continues to move east at 35 miles per hour. So literally all of Tarrant County now is under the gun now for at least the next half an hour.
And then as you talk about, of course, the hail and the size of it, we've heard so many reports, not only here on the air live, but also our chatters at MyFox DFW DFW.com are talking about the intensity of it. One person saying here it looked like we were in Alaska by the amount of hail that came down and stuck around on the ground. We've got someone asking, though, what's going on in Denton County. They understand that they're under the gun, too, but they'd like Dan to hear more about what's going on in Denton County. And again, once you're in a safe place, we ask you to send us your pictures, upload them to myfoxdfw.com, click on the blogs so that we can share some of the sites since the storm, after the storm rather, moves beyond your area. But not before then. Take cover if you're in the line of fire at this point. Go to the lowest area of your home. If you have a storm shelter, as we saw on the line of Tarrant and Parker counties, do that. Go to the lowest part. Get a mattress, put it over a bathtub. Just take cover. The signs have been the dark clouds, then the light rain to moderate, then the very severe and intense rain, not to mention the intensity of the hail up to baseball-sized in diameter.
Yeah, Barron, we've gone back now to Fox 4 and Doppler radar, and now what we're transitioning into is, like we saw last week with this squall line that is now pushing into western Tarrant County. I'm also noticing here what appears to be a little bit of a bow echo here just to the west of Fort Worth, right around the White Settlement area. You also notice all these shear markers. And what can happen, we saw this happen last Wednesday night at the leading edge of this bow, where the strong winds are causing the severe thunderstorm to accelerate. Just to the north of that bow, you can see a brief tornado spin up. That's why we're seeing all the shear markers here from Lake Worth down to White Settlement, just north of Benbrook right now. This could be an area where we could see a brief spin up of a tornado, and if that happens, it would move right into West Fort Worth and around the zoo. Even if we don't see that happen, you are going to see some very strong winds moving into West Fort Worth associated with this little bow here, and also some very large hail, perhaps up to golf ball size, being detected with these black colors and also the gray and white colors on your screen here. So again, a very dangerous situation developing here, continuing to unfold in Tarrant County. High winds, large hail, and we're still showing rotation at the leading edge of this line of storms. We're going to watch that closely. We could see a brief tornado spin up.
And Dan, no one knows that better, the large hail and of course the rain and the wind, than our own Brandon Todd. When we last left at the Parker-Tarrant County line, and Brandon, you were taking cover. I believe you're on the phone now when we last talked to you. I understand now you're in a storm shelter.
Yeah, we're right in the storm shelter here. Like I said, right on the Tarrant County, Parker County line. We're here at I-30 and Link Crest. Earlier when I was on the air, we were getting pelted with hail and winds that had to be 70 miles an hour. I mean, I'm guessing. Wow. I'm no, you know, but I mean, I've covered hurricanes, and it took that flag that we were showing you earlier and sent it straight out, and you could see the
ripped it off the pole.
Hail. Exactly. I mean, it was just straight out. So you know, the hail was coming down at almost a horizontal angle, and it was pelting our vehicles so much so that we had to. At first, we got behind this big front end loader that they've got parked here to try and get some shelter, but we couldn't get protected enough from the hail that was coming down, so we actually pulled back over to the storm shelter, got out and made a run for it, and these guys were nice enough to let us in here, so we're kind of hanging out right now at the shelter. Baron, it literally looks like it snowed here.
That's what we're hearing, too. That's exactly what we're hearing.
There's that much hail. We shot some video of it, so we'll be able to hopefully show you that later, but, you know, I picked up some of it. It looks to be probably dime to quarter size hail, but boy, I'm telling you, it was coming down fast and hard. And
was in the past tense, of course. Now it's all moved on, right?
Well, yeah, right now, I mean, there's a good stiff wind here, maybe 40 miles an hour or so, but not like what we saw earlier, and it's just rain falling now. So the hail is done. We're done with that part of it. But and we're kind of peeking our head out here a little bit just to see what we can see around us. I don't see any real threat or tornadic activity or anything like that around. It's just all the clouds are dark and it's raining.
Yeah. So. Let me ask you this, Brandon. You're down in the storm house with those safe house shelter, rather. Can they talk to us? Can they tell us their stories?
I believe they could. I could.
Yeah. See if they want to talk to us.
Ask one of them here if they could maybe talk a little bit. What's your name? Bill Johnson. Bill Johnson. Can you tell me a little bit about what prompted you all to come over here?
Well, we was up in the shop, and when I was in the shop, we was looking at TV and seeing what the storms were, so we headed for storm shelter.
Now, you got a lot of people here at I-30 and Lindcrest under the overpass. You guys were lucky enough you had a shelter here.
Yeah. Yeah, Waste Management has a shelter at all of our sites, and we come to them whenever we get something like this.
Now, what actually prompted you to get in here? Was it that you saw something outside that front you, or was it that you saw the news reports and you thought, let's get in there while we can?
Yeah, and we seen the wall cloud coming to our west, and whenever that wall cloud come with all the lightning and what we were seeing on TV, we knew it was time to get in the shelter.
I don't know how long you've lived out here, but have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, we've been here for a long time. That's the reason we have a shelter.
Well, like they say, this is Texas, huh?
That's it. If you live in Texas, you need to have a shelter.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. There you go, Barron. You heard it from them. So again, this waste management facility out here, they've got storm shelters at all their facilities, and these guys are essentially doing, kind of what we warn people to do: watch the news, listen to weather radios,
and find a safe place.
And when it gets bad enough, take shelter.
That's exactly right. Now I know at this hour, 7:56, it's pretty dark. Not to mention the clouds. Is that your picture we're seeing? Okay, we're looking at video from earlier when they were going into the storm shelter, Brandon. But right now, if you can stick your head out of there, do you have enough light to maybe survey the area and maybe assess what kind of damage there may be?
Well, I'm out of the storm shelter right now, sort of standing up on the steps here with my head out of it. I don't see any damage here.
Good. Yeah.
But again, we're at a waste management facility where there's a lot of land around here. There's not a lot of buildings that would sustain a lot of damage. At least the buildings that I'm looking at now here on the facility, it doesn't appear to be any damage.
What about the cars? What about that news vehicle?
Well, I imagine they'll probably have to file an insurance claim for hail damage. But,
oh, really? Pretty banged up, huh?
Well, I don't know. I would imagine it would be. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. But, I mean, I can't see any object damage right now. I'm looking at it. But I guess you have to wait till we dry it off and take a closer look. But it was hitting our Durango hard enough that we were pretty. I don't know. We wanted to at least get to the point where we could jump into shelter, and my photographer David Tafoya and I both said this was it. We got to get out of here because in a vehicle we're surrounded by glass. And David made the call. He made a good call, and so we got out of the car and got in the shelter.
Well, absolutely. The most important thing is your safety, despite all else. Let me ask you this one quick question, and then we're going to let you go for right now, Brandon. How long would you say this lasted for you? This event lasted for you guys?
Not that long. I mean, if you're talking about how long the hail lasted, probably 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Very fast.
I mean, honestly, in the flurry to get out of that truck, to run to the shelter, and to figure out what we were going to do next, the time sort of stood still. But I mean, I would imagine probably 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the hail part of it was done. And really, when the hail was falling, that's when we saw the strongest winds. It was hard to pick up on that camera, and I know we were showing you for a while how strong the winds were when we were showing you that flag, but I think when you lost our picture, or when you kind of when we had to kind of take shelter, I think at one point I had the door to the vehicle open so you could get a better shot, and the wind actually just slammed the door to the car shut.
Right, we were still on live with you. Yeah.
To lose the picture, but when I looked up at the flag again, it was just straight out, and those winds were really, really powerful.
Yeah, well, talk about being in the right place with that storm shelter at the wrong time, but we're so glad you guys are safe. And Brandon, we're going to let you go for now, and we'll check back in with you. Let us know when you find perhaps some damage or anything else.
Baron, some new information here from our chat session. Report of quarter-sized hail at Loop 820 in Chapin. Report of golf ball-sized hail at 199 near Lake Worth. And also the sirens once again sounding, the tornado sirens sounding in North Fort Worth at the National Weather Service office located at very close to Beach Street and Loop 820. There are no tornadoes being reported in Tarrant County. There's not a tornado warning in effect for Tarrant County. The reason why those tornado sirens are sounding is because of that squall line here with the potential of winds that could gust well in excess of 60 miles an hour and golf ball sized hail. But you notice all these shear markers as well along the leading edge of the most intense part of that squall line. I've been noticing it's bowing out a little bit here, and oftentimes right near the apex of that bow or just north of it, you can see a tornado spin up. We saw that last week. That was the setup. with that squall line. We saw at least 3 tornadoes from that squall line in a situation very similar to the one we're dealing with tonight. And when you see all of these shear markers like that, that could be a classic sign of at least the potential for a tornado to develop. And right near the zoo right now in Fort Worth is where we are seeing the strongest indication of rotation along that leading edge. And you also can see, notice how the colors bow out here. That is caused as the winds accelerate, they hit the ground, and they cause this portion of the storm to accelerate more so than the northern portion and the southern portion of the line. So boy, anywhere in West Fort Worth right now, Saginaw, Lake Worth, White Settlement, down to Benbrook, you're getting hammered by large hail, torrential rain, and in particular, if you live anywhere in West Fort Worth or Southwest Fort Worth near the zoo, you need to almost approach this situation as if a tornado may develop literally at any moment here, with the signs of this line continuing to bow out here and all of these shear markers. In fact, as I go to Viper 4, you can see a 100% chance of hail with this storm, and 3.25 inches in diameter, which is larger than baseball-sized hail, potentially, with this storm. The shear marker here, yellow in color, which indicates a little reduced threat of a tornado than we were dealing with earlier this evening. In fact, I can go ahead and bring up that tornado index for you here. When you're seeing the yellow colors, generally only a low to a moderate risk of a tornado. But in this type of situation, with the storms accelerating so fast, they're moving east at 35 to 40 miles an hour, Doppler radar can't really keep up with that speed. And so from one scan to the next, we can be dealing with an entirely different situation. So that's why I tell people, err on the side of caution and assume that we could see a tornado develop here in West Fort Worth or Southwest Fort Worth, and treat this situation very seriously here. High winds, large hail are a given,
right? And
we also could see a tornado develop.
Yeah, because I was going to say, even if you don't see the tornado, at the very least, you're bound to get some large hail and those straight line winds or wind gusts at this point, because that's what we've been seeing as this thing has moved through. And speaking of which, Dan, I see here some of the chatters discussing what has already moved through. For example, over in Aledo at 7:25, we got a chatter talking about the tornado that was seen by a trained spotter 6 to 7 miles north of Aledo in Parker County. So far, there's no estimation of magnitude, but a trained spotter saying that he, in fact, or she perhaps did see a tornado in Aledo in Parker County. This was around 7:25 when this particular chat came over. But again, take cover, as Dan has been mentioning, as this line moves through, and as you can see, it's bowed out, meaning the wind is pushing it along. So even if you don't have particularly the possibility of rotation of tornado in your area, you will probably see some large hail. And Dan, you're seeing most of this right in Fort Worth, and in fact, our own Laurie Barriger is in North Fort Worth, and I believe we have her on the phone. Laurie, can you hear us?
I can, Barron.
You're at Loop 820 and I-35. Tell us what you're seeing.
Well, right now we're just getting rain, but I listened to what Brandon was talking about, and he was probably about, I don't know, 15 to 20 miles west of where we are, so I would imagine that we'll start seeing the hail very shortly. I understand from some of our folks who've been tracking that core of the storm, we're about probably 8 miles north of where the center will go through. So we're just kind of waiting and anticipating at this point.
And I know you're in a safe place. By chance, have you heard the sirens?
Oh, of course. The sirens have been going off periodically, probably for the last 15 minutes here.
Yeah. And one of the things, too, I'm sure if you heard Brandon say that this is moving so fast in the sense that one moment it's raining, Laurie, lightly, then moderately, then severely, and then the hail along with it. So I know you're looking out for those signs.
Yeah, you know, we're sitting here and we're at a gas station. A bunch of people have pulled under in their vehicles. And actually, we warned some people because they were just being real casual about getting their gas and running in and getting snacks. They seemed to be unaware that there was something this strong coming their way.
Yeah, the dark clouds do tell part of the story. And, of course, you can see the lightning there in the picture we just saw. Dan, where Laurie is, when should she expect to see something? So, again, she's at I-30 and 820 in North Fort Worth.
Very shortly. In fact, we just got a report here in the chat session, Barron, of golf ball-sized hail in River Oaks. And still the tornado sounding here. You're looking at Fox 4 and Doppler radar. And anywhere you're seeing these black colors here, I would bet that we're seeing golf ball sized hail. And that does include the north side there of Loop 820, just east of Lake Worth, just south of Saginaw right now, heading right down through West Fort Worth, the zoo, in all likelihood getting pelted by very large hail. And as we head down towards Benbrook, and just south of Benbrook, likely some large hail down that way as well. And again, this line is starting to bow out again. We've been seeing that. We're noticing a lot of shear markers here. It is possible we could see a tornado briefly spin up along the leading edge of this line of storms. And you notice that circulation here on the south side of Loop 820. In fact, let me go ahead and stop that, pause that, and we'll zoom in to this area here, right around Edgecliff Village, or just north of there, and just south of the campus of TCU now. We're seeing, in fact, the latest scan now shows that shear marker moving east of TCU, but likely the campus of TCU there getting hammered by very large hail, as is the Fort Worth Zoo. And downtown Fort Worth, for the present time, you're just seeing rain, but it's just a matter of time before this hail core comes in. Just a couple of minutes, and you could go from seeing rain to golf ball sized hail. That's how quickly the weather situation is going to change for you. And up here on the north side of Loop 820, very, very large hail, perhaps up to golf ball size, and we've certainly had several reports of that already.
Yeah, and as Brandon mentioned too, as it comes in, it's in and out relatively quickly. I mean, 5 to 10 minutes, he said, once the hail started. But it's the intensity, though, Dan, that we're hearing from our viewers and also our chatters. Right now, we're looking live from Sky 4 at downtown Fort Worth. And you can see, well, you can't really see, but the storm is moving through at this point. Of course, darkness has definitely fallen on us, but the lightning giving us kind of a show there, Dan. I'm not sure if we're looking, I guess, westward at this moment from Sky 4 live here. And back to the radar, Dan, as it moves through. But
yep. In fact, let me go ahead and show you Viper 4 now. I know you folks are tuned in here, acutely aware of the situation in Dallas County. Well, this line of storms now is 27 miles due west of downtown Dallas, so it will be arriving in downtown Dallas in the next 40 minutes. And in fact, earlier than that here in western Tarrant County, or western Dallas County, excuse me, I'm sure we will see a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Dallas County. It's just a matter of time.
And Dan, we talk about what folks should do at home. You go to the lowest place in your house. You go to an inner closet. You get away from the windows. You pull a mattress over you on the floor or in the bathtub. But to forewarn people, if you're still out in front of this storm and you have time, or if you're at home and you can alert someone who may be in a car, what should that person do in a car, Dan? Should you get underneath an overpass or?
No. In fact, an overpass really is a dangerous place
That's
to be.
That's a big misnomer.
Because, exactly, because the winds tend to accelerate underneath that overpass. Really, the best thing you can do right now, if you're east of this squall line, is don't get in your car, don't get out on the road and head in the direction of this line of storms, because it's not going to be a safe place to be. You're going to put your car in harm's way as well, with golf ball sized hail that's likely to be raining down from this storm. High winds, your visibility is going to be reduced to next to nothing. We've heard that from reporters out in the field, from Ron Ford, from Brandon Todd. Boy, when that storm hits,
really hits.
They couldn't hear us. They couldn't see anything out there. It's a real dangerous situation. So hunker down where you live, lowest floor, away from those exterior walls or windows, in a closet or a bathroom. Again, we've not had, other than the one report in Aledo of what could have been a brief tornado touchdown, we've had no other tornado confirmations, but this is still a dangerous situation. The severe thunderstorm warning has been extended now for Tarrant County until 9:15. And look at this, Baron, now. Baseball-sized hail and destructive winds in excess of 70 miles per hour are possible with this storm as it continues moving east at 35 miles an hour. Haltom City, Watauga, Forest Hill, Kennedale, ETA time is 8:15. That's 3 minutes from now. Richland Hills, North Richland Hills, Watauga, Keller by 8:20, and Hearst and Pantego by 8:25. This storm has a history of producing up to baseball-sized hail, wind gusts well in excess of 60 miles per hour. Dangerous situation on our hands here. Again, we do have severe weather occurring up here in northern Denton County. we're talking about probably nickel-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds around the Pilot Point and Sanger areas. But this is, by all indications, the most intense line of storms, stretching now from around the Colleyville and North Richland Hills area into East Fort Worth, and then swinging back to the south side of Benbrook, where you're seeing these black colors here. That is an indication of up to baseball-sized hail falling now in North Fort Worth, just northwest of Haltom City, up towards the Saginaw area. In fact, let me go ahead and we'll give you some, there's I-35 right there. Obviously, this is Loop 820 here. Back here to the south and west, State Highway 199. Here's State Highway 121. We're seeing a very large hail core now, stretching from just west of Saginaw to just north of Highway 121. And then as you head down into downtown Fort Worth, they are getting pelted by some large hail, as is the south side of Fort Worth. And 70-mile-an-hour winds, Barron. That's enough to down trees, to down power lines. A mobile home is not going to be a safe place to ride out this type of weather here if that storm is not on top of you, and you can move from your mobile home to a more permanent building and you can get there very quickly. Go ahead and do it, but don't do that if the storm is right on top of you. If you're in eastern Tarrant County or in Dallas County, you have time still to get out of that mobile home and to get to a safe place of shelter.
Right, so it's not just the possibility of tornado, it's those wind gusts. And I'm thinking a week ago, overnight, we had wind gusts that did some pretty nice damage, not to mention the tornadoes we had a week ago.
Yeah, they topped to 80 to 85 miles per hour. Let's just hope we don't see anything that significant, but we could see winds perhaps up to 70 miles per hour with this line moving currently through Tarrant County. I'm going to go back here to our chat session one more time and try to get some of the latest information here. Let's see. Flash flood warning is about ready to go out for Tarrant County here. And we're also getting reports from the National Weather Service of some hail falling in North Fort Worth. That's close to Beach Street and 820. No indication of how large that hail is, but I would bet it's probably up to golf ball size, maybe even larger than that. Here's the flash flood warning. It's now been issued. It's in effect until 10:15. National Weather Service meteorologists detected thunderstorms with heavy rain moving east at 32 miles an hour. 1 to 2 inches of rain will be possible in a very short period of time, which will likely cause flash flooding. Locations included in this flash flood warning: Haltom City, Watauga, Richland Hills, Mansfield, Dalworthington Gardens, North Richland Hills, Keller, Arlington, Southlake, Colleyville, Grapevine. So all the mid-cities area and northeastern Tarrant County now under that flash flood warning, as well as a severe thunderstorm warning for up to baseball-sized hail and winds in excess of 70 miles an hour.
And Dan, we've been looking at a picture here live. This is from one of our tower cams atop one of the buildings in downtown Fort Worth, and you can see, I believe, this pole here, how it's shaking in the wind. And of course, the lightning show that we're getting here. This is right in downtown Fort Worth as this system moves through.
We may see that get struck by lightning, Barron, looking at all the lightning activity around downtown Fort Worth. A scary sight there as these winds continue to howl through downtown Fort Worth and through Tarrant County. Again, let's go ahead back to Viper 4 here momentarily. And I drew this line probably about 5 minutes ago, but the leading edge of this line of storms now is, let's see here, I'm going to draw it, is 26 miles from downtown Dallas. So if this line is moving east at 35 miles an hour, you got less than an hour to prepare for a nasty line of thunderstorms if you live here in downtown Dallas. And that's about the same distance it is also from South Dallas as well. So I know you're not seeing much in the way of weather currently in Dallas County, but trust me when I say it will only be a matter of time before the weather deteriorates very quickly, and you could be in for large hail and damaging winds as well.
And we've seen the damage, just to remind folks that in parts of Palo Pinto County, Mineral Wells, and then points eastward of there, we've heard reports of car windshields shattered. We've heard people talk about the virtual snow covering their front lawns because of the intensity of this hail up to baseball size, and even in some cases larger. We've heard people talk about grapefruit-sized hail. And then, of course, there is the rain that's coming down after all of this, and the wind that's whipping through. Brandon Todd showed us at the Parker County, Tarrant County line where a flag had been ripped off the flagpole. So this is nothing to play around with. We can't stress that enough. And it continues to move, getting closer now to the Dallas area.
Yeah, what I've done here now, Barron, is let's go back, if we can, very quickly to Fox 4 and Doppler radar. I want to show you this hail core now that is located just south of Highway 377. There sits the town of Toller there. Here's Glen Rose, and you're probably going to see upwards of quarter-sized, maybe up to golf ball-sized hail. In fact, the severe thunderstorm warning continues for southwestern Hood County. Now I'm going to go ahead and pan northward along that line of storms. Granbury, you're likely seeing some small hail, perhaps some gusty winds. But again, the most intense part of that line of storms continues to move right through Tarrant County here. And the largest hail core, at least at the present time, appears to be on the north side of Fort Worth near Haltom City. And let me go ahead and precisely pinpoint. There's Loop 820. Here's I-35W. And here is Highway 121 down here to the south. So in an area bounded by Highway 121, Loop 820, and I-35W, boy, there is the large hail core. And that could be up to baseball-sized hail falling where we're showing the black colors here in portions of Haltom City, just east of I-35W.
And one of our bloggers right now, Dan at myfoxdfw.com, is telling us that the sirens are going off in North Richland Hills. So that's right in the path of where Dan just showed us as the storm moves through, again with that hail up to baseball size, not to mention the wind. And of course, you'll get that rain that will pound. And again, maybe moving very quickly through your area, but moving very intensely. Again, the sirens, we understand, going off in North Richland Hills, Dan.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to go head back here to the chat session, Barron, just to make sure we're getting the very latest information to our viewers. Fort Worth National Weather Service employee reported quarter-sized hail at 8:10 p.m. That was 10 minutes ago in downtown Fort Worth, getting a report of pea-sized hail along I-30 in Oakland, so that's not a big problem there. Severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for Johnson County until 9 o'clock. Let me read the specifics on that severe thunderstorm warning for folks in Johnson County. You're under that warning, as I said, till 9 p.m. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing up to golf ball-sized hail and damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. North of Godley, it's moving east at 20 miles an hour. Joshua, 8:35, your ETA time. Burleson, 8:40. Keene, 8:45. Venus and Alvarado at 9 o'clock. Again, we're all under a severe thunderstorm watch. The northern watch here, which does include all of Dallas and Fort Worth, goes until 10 o'clock. Let me go ahead and set the stage one more time. This southern watch goes till past the midnight hour. Does include areas like Waxahachie, Hillsborough, and Meridian as well. And you can see that line now continuing to build down to the south there, and it now extends from south of Stephenville right through Hood County into the Granbury area. It gets real intense in Tarrant County, and we've also got some strong to severe thunderstorms continuing up here in northern Denton County. I think up here around Pilot Point and Aubrey, we're talking about nickel, maybe up to quarter-sized hail, wind gusts up to perhaps 60 miles per hour. But the most menacing part of that line of storms moving right through the heart of Tarrant County, including the city of Fort Worth, where we could see up to baseball-sized hail and winds that may approach 70 miles an hour.
Now, we talked to Brandon Todd a little while ago. He was at the Parker Tarrant County line. We understand now we have Brandon back on the phone. He's along I-30 toward Weatherford. Is that right, Brandon?
That's correct. We're on I-30 heading west into Weatherford. I think we've reached the area where it goes into I-20, meets I-20. So we're about 13 miles or so outside of Weatherford.
And we can see it's raining. It's coming down there pretty nicely, huh, the rain?
Exactly. You can see that on our windshield, and I mean, it's pretty much just a steady rain right now. You kind of feel some strong winds, and like I said earlier, I mean, kind of where we were, there was maybe 30-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe a steady 15, 20-mile-an-hour wind. But nothing like what we saw when the hail was coming through on the leading edge of that storm.
Yeah, and Brandon, I know you're on I-20 here, and this falls right in line with one of the things that, of course, Dan has talked about throughout the evening, is that usually once the storm, the bulk of it, the hail and the intense wind move on, this is what you get, the rain behind it.
Right. Yeah, that's all we're experiencing right now. It's just some rain. Again, this is just any normal rain you would see just on a normal easy storm. It really is not anything dramatic at this point. Again, nothing like it was earlier.
Yeah. Now, before you left the Parker County, Tarrant County line where you were at that storm shelter, did you see any damage? How is the truck, by the way, that you're in?
Well, there's a lot of rain on the truck, so it's kind of hard. I kind of ran my hand over some of it. It was hard to feel anything, but I'm sure, you know, with that hail damage, sometimes you have to get it under a light or get it so it's dry and kind of look at it where you can kind of see the little bumps.
Yeah, but no shattered glass or anything like that.
Right, no shattered glass, nothing like that. And that was our initial fear, and that's kind of why we left the vehicle and went kind of into the storm shelters, because we thought, well, if the hail's really that large and it's really that strong, which it felt pretty strong, we were afraid that it was going to break some of the windows of the car and leave us in worse shape than we would have been, you know.
Yeah, because that...
hadn't done so.
And those are the reports we've been getting, too. In addition to those reports about the shattered glass, we've also heard people say that, hey, it looks like I'm in Alaska. It looks like it just snowed. Did you see that where you were or along the way since you left there?
Oh, yeah. We shot some video of that as well. So hopefully at some point this evening we'll be able to show you that. And I kind of picked it up with my hand. You can see it was maybe some of the larger hailstones are maybe golf ball size, and anywhere from maybe, you know, pea-sized to golf ball size hail is what we saw where it was. But again, it was just covering the ground. It looked like snow.
Yeah.
There were in some areas around where we had our truck parked, of where the wheels were when we pulled away, it kind of looked like a drift.
Oh, yeah.
The water had actually kind of washed some of the hailstones up in sort of a drift pattern. And so it really did. It looked like it had snowed.
All right, Brandon Todd on I-20 near Weatherford. Thank you for that, sir. Glad you guys are safe. Keep us up to date. And again, Brandon has been showing us this picture, and we invite you, when you're safe, if you can, and you choose to, send us your pictures. Upload them at myfoxdfw.com on the blog section so we can share your pictures and see what's been happening in your neighborhood. Dan?
All right, Baron, let's go ahead and we'll show you Fox 4 and Doppler radar here, and I'm going to kind of pan down the north-south along this squall line of thunderstorms. You can see the hail core there located right around Pilot Point and Aubrey. I think we're probably getting around nickel-sized hail, maybe some wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour there. And you can see also, if you're living right now in McKinney and in Plano, you're not seeing anything at the present time, but just a matter of time before we see that line of storms heading in your direction. Now, I pan down into Tarrant County here, where you're seeing those black colors right around North Richland Hills. That could be in excess of golf ball-sized hail. Now, the National Weather Service said this could be up to baseball-sized hail in some of the strongest hail cores in this storm in Tarrant County. We've had no confirmation of any hail being reported that large in nature in Tarrant County, but we've already had reports of golf ball-sized hail, and that line of storms continues down to the south. It's moving east at about 35 miles per hour. We head down to the south here one more time, and there you can see the hail core now just south of Toller, and where you see those black colors, that's an indication of very large hail, probably in excess of golf ball size or larger. There's the latest lightning strike associated with this intense line of storms as it moves through Hood County. And you folks in Glen Rose are probably going to get clipped by that hail core as well. Let's pan out once again. Here's the severe thunderstorm watch that covers the Dallas-Fort Worth area and points north to the Red River until 10 o'clock tonight. This southern watch goes in effect past the midnight hour tonight. It does include Waxahachie, Hillsborough, Meridian, down through Hamilton County. I'm going to go ahead one more time, and we'll go north to south down this line of storms here. The largest hail here by far in Denton County is falling from Pilot Point down through the Aubrey area. We are getting a little shear marker there. I don't think that's anything real concern to be concerned about. No indication of at least an imminent threat of a tornado being produced by this portion of the line. 60-mile-an-hour winds, nickel, maybe quarter-sized hail up there in northern Denton County. This is really where the action is. In fact, I'm going to step out here and zoom in for an even tighter look here in Tarrant County, where I believe some of the largest hail currently is falling right around the North Richland Hills area. And there you go. You can see that is generally that hail core moving east through North Richland Hills, where you could be seeing up to perhaps up to baseball-sized hail here, certainly in excess of golf ball-sized hail, and some of these purple colors as well in East Fort Worth along Loop 820 here, continuing to show that large hail core. Torrential rain, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning with this storm. You can see the folks here in Hanley being hammered by some large hail as well. I'm going to go back here to our chat session that we're dialed into with the National Weather Service just to make sure we're getting the very latest information. Okay, half-dollar-sized hail now reported in Burleson. That was just 1 minute ago. Also, amateur radio reports flash flooding at 8:27 p.m. In high water at the intersection of Bryant, Irvin, and I-20. So we've got flash flooding in progress now in Tarrant County, and a thunderstorm measured wind gust 1 mile south of Hazlet of 65 miles per hour, and half-dollar-sized hail now coming from Burleson in Johnson County. That was at 8:28 p.m. So you can see we are getting these reports instantaneously as they occur. We're going to share them with you here as we continue to track these storms, dangerous storms pushing eastward through Tarrant County at a clip of about 35 miles per hour. Large hail from North Richland Hills down to the Hanley area. And let's go ahead once again, and we'll continue to pan down to the south. We got that report of the large hail down in Johnson County. Large hail falling now south of Fort Worth, Edgecliff Village, and Crowley as well. There's the radar site, the National Weather Service radar site, just north of Burleson. That's why you're seeing the donut hole there. Now we're down into Johnson County. Nothing going on here in the Cleburne area, but again, you can see this squall line now taking shape. It continues to push eastward at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. And within certain segments of this line, this line of thunderstorms, we're actually seeing the line bow out a little bit, and that can be a favored location for a brief tornado spin-up. So that will remain a possibility for the next couple of hours. We could see these brief tornado spin-ups at the leading edge of this line of thunderstorms. But one thing you're going to see for certain is very, very heavy rain, torrential rain that could lead to flash flooding, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, and also some large hail. Let me back out one more time here, and we'll zoom in first off into the Denton County area, where we've got strong to severe thunderstorms in progress. Looks like the most intense part of that line still around the Pilot Point Aubrey area. These are slow movers in some cases here, so that's why we have the concern too about some flash flooding. In fact, let me go ahead and bring up the storm total here, at least for the last 24 hours, of how much rain we've seen. And where you're seeing some of these dark green colors, there may have been upwards of 2.5 inches of rain. You got to take that with a grain of salt sometimes, because we can get what's called hail contamination, where the radar is fooled. It thinks it's seeing extremely heavy rain, but what it's actually seeing is very large hail.
And we've seen how intense, we've heard the reports of how intense the hail has been coming down too, Dan.